Hi, I'm Bryce Crinden.
Hi, I'm Caroline Land, and welcome back to EPL's Overdue Finds.
Caroline, it's the special holiday Christmas edition of Overdue Finds. I'm pretty excited today. How's it going?
I am very excited. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, and that's fantastic because if there's a year that really needs some spirit, I think it's might be 2020.
Yeah, absolutely. We've no matter who you are, we've all been through a lot this year, and we're going to be chatting all about something that we've talked about doing this on the show for a little while, and I've known this episode's been coming up, and I've been doing a lot of prep, mostly with my wife Cheryl, because she's been filling me in on kind of which movies to check out, and I've watched my fair share, and today, of course, we're chatting all about Hallmark Christmas movies, not just Hallmark specifically, Christmas movies, but just Christmas movies in general too. And maybe some of those kind of light romantic comedies that you see absolutely everywhere today. Caroline, when we first originally chatted about this idea, you were pretty excited that we were going to be talking about this on the show today, weren't you?
I was. I am a very big fan of the made-for-TV Christmas movie. I love the romance. I love the holiday spirit. I love the gentle misunderstandings that can be solved around maybe a cup of hot chocolate. So I was really excited. I remember actually a year ago, I was borrowing a desk in your old work area, and there were a bunch of people from the marketing, design and production, and fund development teams who were all talking about their favorite Christmas movies, and I was just like eavesdropping and writing them down, and it was just such a great conversation that I knew that we had to explore this topic on the podcast.
Yeah, we've got a couple of guests today joining us who, when we chatted about this idea, I was like, I don't think we could have two better guests to join us here on the show. They were both guests on one of my personal favorite episodes of Overdue Finds, back in, I want to say it was like early 2019, maybe. We were chatting all about romance novels. And of course, I read a book from one of our guests today and kind of shared my thoughts on the book and the genre and everything. And I'm so happy to have them both back on the show with us today. First, want to reintroduce, I guess, official friend of the show, EPL librarian, Beth Kilfoy. Beth, how are you today?
I am so excited to be here, Bryce. When you sent me the email invitation, I was like gleefully jumping around in my home office and bragging to my husband. I'm like, I get to talk about Hallmark movies for work. It's so great. So I'm really excited to be here.
Best day ever.
Yeah.
And joining us for the second time on the show is author and screenwriter Jennifer Snow. Jennifer, I know you're in the middle of a move right now, but how are you today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for inviting me. I can talk about holiday movies all day long, so this is great. Really excited.
That's awesome. Yeah, when I sent you the email, I was so happy you were able to join us again. And you were like, yeah, I can talk about this stuff absolutely all day. So I know you're super busy, so we won't keep you too long today, but I think we're going to have a lot of fun recording today's episode and sharing our thoughts on our favorite Hallmark Christmas movies. And of course, we're going to be chatting about the popularity of them as well. So, but Jennifer, since we last spoke to you, you've had a screenplay called Mistletoe and Molly that I've noticed on IMDb has been put into development. What was that process like, and what else have you been up to since we last chatted?
Well, I started screenwriting in 2018. I think just before we started talking about the romance novels on the last podcast, I had kind of started dabbling in screenwriting. Mistletoe and Molly was actually a holiday novella that I published a million years ago. I did the adaptation with a screenwriter friend, Joshua Roach, a few years ago. And then when I went to American Film Market last year in Santa Monica, Breakthrough Entertainment out of Toronto. They optioned Mistletoe Bachelors, another adaptation that I did, and then they also optioned Mistletoe Molly. And then last year, director Lane Schefter Bishop came on board to direct, and it was originally scheduled for Super Channel, but then of course COVID hit. And a lot of networks are taking a bit of a hit on, production budgets and things like that. So we're not quite sure where it's going to end up. But I actually just an hour ago got an updated email on the process that it's still moving forward and they're still hoping to produce it next year. So fingers crossed. But I'll definitely keep you updated as to where we can watch when all that happens. But right now it's just a lot about rewriting and, changing it from the original concept. The original book had a dog. The screenplay currently does not have a dog. So dogs are expensive. It's been quite a different process from writing novels. So definitely a learning experience for sure. So
yeah. Well, yeah, it's like, I had no idea that. Well, I guess so. I mean, I can understand maybe dogs are a little bit more expensive to have on set, and they'll kind of like, we'll give you a fishbowl maybe instead, but you can kind of work around the dog. That would be great.
Yeah.
So are you still involved in the development of it, or once it was optioned, was that the end of your involvement with the script?
Well, luckily they kept me on to do the rewrites. A lot of times, like one of my other thriller scripts actually has been optioned by another company in LA, and they've basically kicked me off the project. I'll be executive producer and, based on my book, but they want someone else to totally rewrite the script. But for Mistletoe Molly and Mistletoe Bachelors, I was very fortunate that Breakthrough kept me on as the writer to do all the rewrites and kind of keep some of that creative control and that kind of thing. So it's been really fun. And, casting is going to be out of my hands, that kind of thing. I can dream, but I'm sure I'll get to go on set once, filming happens and things like that. So it's fun to just kind of be involved at any point. So
totally.
Yeah, we're going to chat a little bit later on, of course, about kind of the sets and everything around Hallmark Christmas movies. But I imagine that's going to be such a really cool experience for you when you get to eventually do that, is kind of visit the set and see kind of, your art brought to life, I guess.
For sure. Yeah, it's definitely a dream come true to even just think that anybody would be reading those lines out loud and that kind of thing. Also a little terrifying. It's going to be kind of nerve-wracking, but it's fun. It's exciting.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, we're going to have a blast today chatting about some of our favorite movies here. And before we kind of move into our recent Overdue Finds picks, I just want to actually say a quick thank you to everyone who joined me at my How to Start a Podcast session on November 22nd during the first ever How To Festival. It looked like there was about 50 people registered, and we had an hour long, and I know we had an hour-long session. I know I kind of rambled on a little bit, but we were very close to kind of reaching over that limit. But it was amazing getting to connect with a lot of people who were really interested in starting their own podcasts, and they had some questions and everything. So Caroline, we haven't been doing this very long, so I was kind of a little surprised I got asked to do it, but it was really neat connecting with other podcasters.
That's great. I know that there were a number of great sessions that day, and it's wonderful that people had the chance to tune in and pick up some pointers from you.
Yeah. So we do have a replay actually for all the How To festival sessions. So even if you don't want to check out mine, there's lots of other great ones available, and we'll have a link to those in our show notes today. So you can go find a class that really interests you. So let's move into our recent Overdue Finds picks. Beth, what have you been enjoying lately?
Oh, this was really, really hard to pick, Bryce. I've been reading and watching so many really good things. To pick one was really hard, but I will go with the Bridgerton's romance novel series by Julia Quinn, which I've been working my way through because there's a Netflix series adaptation coming out Christmas Day that I'm super psyched about. The whole series follows the 8 Bridgerton siblings who are named in alphabetical order. The first book is The Duke and I, and it follows the oldest sister, Daphne, and it's just good historical Regency romance. There's lots of banter, there's lots of swooning, and of course, the happy ending. So, and the show is produced by Shonda Rhimes, so I'm really excited to see what the adaptation looks like.
Nice. Who's starring in the adaptation of it?
I don't think it really has any big names other than Julie Andrews does like the narration voice for the gossip newsletter. But the cast is really exciting. It's got a really diverse cast. So there's a lot of Black actors, which you don't always see in Regency films. So it's really exciting to see what they're doing with it.
I think Shonda Rhimes is kind of the big name that's attached to it for people.
Yeah.
Jennifer, what have you been enjoying lately? I know, you're in the middle of a big move, but have you had time to kind of read or watch anything new that you can recommend?
Yeah. So as soon as the holiday themed books start hitting shelves in September and October, I always kind of stockpile them. I never get through them all because there's just so many, but I buy every one that has a Christmas cover. The one that I just finished and I absolutely loved was by Christina Lauren called In a Holidays. And it's a holiday themed romance, but it basically has, kind of the Groundhog Day idea where she has to keep reliving the holiday season over and over until she gets it right. Super funny and just funny and charming. And it's a sweeter romance. So, there's nothing R-rated in it or anything like that. So it's a great read for, everyone. Lots of, about family and friendship and lots of heart and that kind of thing in it. So definitely recommend checking out that one. It was really a fun read for the holiday season for sure. So yeah.
We're big fans of the movie Groundhog Day here on the podcast. So I love those type of time loop stories. Caroline, I know you're a really big fan too, right?
I am. I'm also a big fan of the versatility of the word holiday in titles, and it can be, holidays. Holidate was a movie on Netflix that came out this year, so just you can have a lot of fun with that as a word.
No, it sounds like a really fun book, and if anybody's in the mood for a good Christmas read, that seems perfect. Caroline, how about you? What have you been enjoying?
I just finished reading Big Friendship, How We Keep Each Other Close by Aminatou Sow and Anne Friedman, who are the hosts of the podcast Call Your Girlfriend, which is not one that I've ever listened to, but I know it's quite popular and does really well. And it's a book that kind of explores the important roles that friendship plays and how over the years it's been kind of neglected for having an understanding of why it's so important. There's a lot of attention paid to, with kids on how they socialize and how they make friends, and then the importance of romantic relationships that people develop, but platonic friend relationships aren't always understood, and people don't always know how to navigate them. And they talk about their own kind of friendship history, what they've learned from doing a podcast together. And then they also talk with a number of relationship experts about the role that friendship plays, how you can sustain friendships as an adult, and what to do when maybe things get a bit tougher and it's harder to figure out kind of what to do next to sustain the relationship. So it was a really enjoyable book that kind of left me thinking about some things, some aspects of my own life. Of course, it's during, I read it during a pandemic. So all of their things about, how we keep each other close have kind of twisted a little bit or morphed. But when you think about, long distance relationships or people you can't or not able to see all the time, being in a pandemic maybe hasn't changed things so much, particularly as we have friends and acquaintances all over the world. So, Big Friendship by Aminatou Sow and Anne Friedman.
Nice. Sounds like a really important book and definitely timely. I chatted about this on the podcast a little while ago, how it seems like actually over the last, well, really since March, it's almost like I've become like more connected to my friends. It seems like I'm talking to them more often, and that's just only because of like online gaming mostly.
Yeah.
But, it's something that, we each try and kind of connect with each other online, like almost every night, and play, a couple rounds of Call of Duty or something like that. But, it's really helped to actually kind of get through, these long last few months. And, it's interesting too. You brought up just kind of having friendships as an adult. And, it's true. It's also so much harder to try and make new friends as an adult. So I imagine they talk about that too in the book.
Yeah, they do. And they talk about how, when they met, it was kind of through a mutual friend. So they had already almost been vetted for each other with the stamp of approval, that it was worth putting that time investment in. And they talk about the Malcolm Gladwell idea of you have to spend, was it 10,000 hours on something to be an expert. They also talk about how that might not actually be the case, but it's, thinking about how many hours you've put in a friendship. We don't often think of it that way. That seems kind of maybe black and white when it's maybe more emotional or personal oftentimes. But, getting to know someone can be an investment. And so you want to make sure you're making good ones for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How about you, Bryce? What have you been enjoying?
Yeah, so I've been slowly kind of working my way through my long list of movies to watch. And I finally got around to seeing a movie. It was nominated for Best Picture this past year. It was one of the best reviewed movies, obviously, of 2019. So I finally had a chance to sit down and watch Jojo Rabbit. And immediately I was kind of upset with myself, kicking myself for waiting until like November, after a year it's been out, to finally sit down and watch it. So I wish I actually could have been in the pitch meeting for this movie with writer and director Taika Waititi. If you're not familiar with it, it's about a young boy who, of course, is growing up in Nazi Germany, and he's a member of Hitler's youth who just happens to have an imaginary friend who is Adolf Hitler. So it takes place, of course, obviously during World War II, and he soon discovers that his mother has been hiding a Jewish woman in their house. Of course, the boy is kind of forced to kind of confront his nationalism, and it's a funny / moving movie, and I can't recommend it enough. It's probably too late now, but probably my most favorite movie, I guess, of last year in 2019 anyway. So highly recommend Jojo Rabbit. Has everyone else here seen it?
No, none of us have from the shaking heads on the podcast.
Yeah, it's like movies where a young kid has Hitler as an imaginary friend. I totally get it. It's totally like a weird sell. But I remember when I first read about it, I was like, oh, I don't know how this is gonna work. But it's an incredible movie, and it's just. Yeah, I can't recommend it enough. And we, of course, have it in our collection. You can borrow it from us here at EPL. All right. So today, as we teased at the top of the show, we're chatting all about Hallmark Christmas movies and some of our other favorite holiday titles today. But before we start, I wanted to share some interesting facts about Hallmark Christmas movies. So, of course, most people know Hallmark is a greeting card company, but they started their own network in August of 2001 and released a sister network called Hallmark Movies and Mysteries in 2004. Most of its programming can be found here in Canada on the W Network. And one of the really neat things about a lot of these movies is that the majority of them are filmed here in Canada. Caroline, on our last episode where we were chatting about Schitt's Creek, Katie mentioned that they were filming one just outside the Strathcona branch. Mm-hmm. And I saw last night on the news, because they were previewing that movie, it is called Christmas with a Crown, and it's going to be out on video on demand here, actually, by the time you're hearing this episode. And the highest rated movie ever for the Hallmark Channel was Christmas Under Wraps, which starred Hallmark Christmas movie favorite Candace Cameron Bure, which premiered in 2014 to 5.8 million viewers. This year alone, the network is going to be releasing 40 new holiday films, including their first feature film featuring a gay couple, which was released a couple weeks ago, called The Christmas House. So these are all movies that we were just chatting about, obviously Hallmark Christmas movies, but there's so many more of them. If you go to Netflix or any other streaming service, you see a lot of movies like this. So obviously we're all fans. I shouldn't say that. I do like most of them. I have seen most of them through my wife Cheryl, but these are movies that I would say, I don't want to, because we talked about this on the show before, I wouldn't say guilty pleasure, but it's a movie. It's one of those movies where if Cheryl's sitting down to watch it and I'm just like, can't we watch something else? 2 minutes later, I'm totally invested into it. They're fun movies, especially this time of the year to watch.
Yeah, and they definitely seem to be getting more popular every year. I guess, Jennifer, we'll start with you. Why do you think these movies have caught on so deeply with the public?
I think because they're just like romance novels. They have that guarantee of that happily ever after. Everything is going to wrap up really nicely at the end, in time for Christmas. And I think viewers crave that comfort and security, especially in years like this one. Other than that, they're like chocolate. They're sweet and addictive, and you can't just have one. You start watching them and you want to live on all the sets. Those houses and all the Christmas decor everywhere, they're just so fantastic. There's nothing to not like about them, and as you mentioned, Caroline, like the conflict is pretty low key. They're not very edgy. So they are something you can watch with the whole family, and they're very, very great. And I do love that they're expanding their idea of being more inclusive and more diverse. The Christmas House looks amazing. I haven't seen it yet, but I love Jonathan Bennett. So he just got engaged in real life. So his own happy ever after story is so cute. So yeah, I looking forward to that for sure.
I saw an interview with Jonathan Bennett the other night on Entertainment Tonight, and they were talking about the script he received, and he was like, who's my love interest? And they mentioned the other actor, and he's like, what? Like, he was just like totally shocked, and rightfully so. Like a lot of the movies kind of in the past, it's been mostly obviously straight couples and white couples as well, and they do seem to be getting a lot better with diversity with a lot of these movies.
Yeah, I've heard their mandate has completely changed as to what they're acquiring right now. So that's super exciting, especially from a screenwriting point of view. The things we can start pitching to them now have totally opened with the new director over there and that kind of thing, taking the reins and making some much needed changes. So yeah, definitely exciting.
That's awesome.
Beth, what kind of set decor would you like to step into for a Christmas movie?
Oh, see, this is the problem. Like, I enjoy a lot of the like big city woman goes to small town, but always has this like gorgeous farmhouse style with like 17 Christmas trees. I really love those. I also just really love like how familiar the structure is for all of these films. So like, 45 to 50 minutes in, you're going to have your big conflict. And at the end, it's going to snow. I was laughing. I think my mother-in-law shared a meme on Facebook, and it was like the Hallmark Christmas movie drinking game. Mm-hmm. And it included things like you drink when there's mistletoe, or someone gets snowed in, or someone drinks hot chocolate. You'd be hammered like within 15 minutes of any Hallmark Christmas movie.
Yeah.
But I really love the formula. Like it's comforting and familiar, and there's Christmassy decorations everywhere.
Caroline, how about you? What is it about them that keeps drawing you to keep watching those movies?
I think the phrase that I kind of came to was there's a lightness about them, where even and maybe like with any kind of genre, there's a variety of topics in there. I tend to stick to the ones that aren't sad. I don't know if that's too broad, but and I mean there can be sadness at times in them, but there are like on the spectrum of the Christmas or romantic TV movies. Like there was one I was reading the description for, and it's about like two kids whose mother's dying, and the neighbor's going to adopt them. And there is a romantic, like there's a guy who's involved somehow that's going to help it all work out. But I'm like, no, thank you. I don't need that. Please give me the concert violinist in Vienna, who in from the movie Christmas in Vienna, it is literally a plot point where every like 7 minutes they are eating a different food and describing how it tastes. I'm not even exaggerating. It's amazing. And it's one of those ones where I was like watching it and wondering, was this like subsidized by like Vienna tourism for it? Because it's just like, oh, here's a food we eat here, and here's another food we eat here, and this is a chocolate that we eat here. And I didn't even care. Like, bring on the publicity for Vienna, because I knew that by the end, the violinist was gonna like recapture her love of music, and she was gonna fall in love with the romantic interest, or he was gonna love her back. It was just, there's a lightness to it, and so those are the ones that I seek out. As I think Beth mentioned, there's a predictability to it, where you know the formula, and that can be really enjoyable. I think there's a lot going on this time of year, every December, not just in the middle of a pandemic. There's a lot, whether it's year-end stuff, or trying to get everything done for Christmas or the holidays or whatever you're celebrating. There's a lot to do, and so putting on something that you can enjoy, that you can be confident in how it ends, and have that positive experience, I think there's something really enticing about that.
One of the interesting things I hear from, the odd person here at work or wherever about a lot of these movies, and you hear this a lot, is, oh, I love putting them on while I wrap gifts, while I'm doing my Christmas baking, while I'm making dinner, whatever. It seems to be like, it's good kind of holiday comfort food you can have on in the background. If you miss 10 minutes, you haven't really missed anything too important when it comes to the plot, really. You can come back in and you get kind of the story really that you've signed up for. So I joke around that they're not my favorite movies, but the one thing I do like about them, the ones I sit down and watch, is that these are kind of nice movies, and there's so much kind of doom and gloom out there today, and it's nice to sit back and watch something that's just kind of nice for the whole family to enjoy.
One of the things I like about the movies too is that they know exactly what they are, and they don't go halfway. And I think that this speaks to maybe some of the sureness of the teams that are making the movies. But if they're lighting up a Christmas tree, it's a Christmas tree festival. If they're making holiday baking, it's a baking competition with the local bakery. They're not going halfway on it, and so you just kind of turn yourself over to that. Bryce, one of the things you mentioned was that the movies can be found here on W Network, and W has their popular Countdown to Christmas campaign, which they started in 2009, and now they even have a Christmas in July campaign, where in the middle of the summer, they just run all of these holiday movies again. Has anyone here watched one of these in a time other than the Christmas season? And if so, what drew you to that?
My mom and I, we swear by that whole Christmas in July feeling. I don't know if it's maybe the heat and I'm just craving, the crisp fall days. I don't know what it is, but every July, August, we get in this Christmassy mood where we just yeah, we do. We watch all of the Christmas movies that we can get our hands on, and it's great that they do it, because a lot of people seem to kind of jump on it during those months. And yeah, I don't know if it's because it's almost mid-year and you're missing Christmas, or I don't know. We just love Christmas in our family anyway. We're a little Christmas crazy, so yeah, it's not a big stretch for us to watch Christmas movies any time of the year, but that's just us.
Beth, I know you've probably watched these in July.
I actually don't. I am a strict December 1st to December 25th. That's the only time I watch Christmas movies. My dad he's not a Grinch. He likes Christmas, but if they didn't play Christmas music until the week before Christmas, he'd be fine with that. He works in a seniors care facility, and so the Christmas movies start playing on a loop the day after Remembrance Day, and he's just done with it by November 17. But yeah, so I'm a December only, but I get why people want to watch them in the summer. The thing with Hallmark is they do make they've now started making sort of the same kind of formula without Christmas for films all the year round. So I know Netflix has a couple of their fall ones. There's, I think I ran across one that's just set in Iceland, not necessarily Christmassy.
Yeah.
So, if you're craving that formula, it doesn't necessarily have to be Christmas. So if you're a little Grinchier.
What about you, Bryce? Could Cheryl talk you into some July features?
Well, Cheryl definitely has in the past. Cheryl, much like you, Jennifer, she is hardcore Christmas. When Christmas in July comes on, it's I know most nights pretty much I'm going to go play some Xbox or something like that, because Cheryl is watching a movie starring Candace Cameron Bure. So it's happening. So, I'm not sure what I should have asked her before I recorded today, why she likes watching them in July, but I just know in general, she loves Christmas, similar to what we were just talking about. It's total comfort food for her as well. She just loves the settings and just everything about it. And yeah, they're fun movies to watch. Caroline, are you a Christmas in July watcher?
I am. I would watch Christmas stuff all year round. I don't know. I think, I've heard arguments about how if you watch it at other times, it loses something. It maybe doesn't make the time as special. I don't agree. I think there's enough Christmas spirit to go around. But I think, the year is long, right? And this year, I keep coming back to this year as an outlier. I don't know if it is or isn't, but oftentimes, when July, August roll around, you're ready for something again. You're ready for that experience. So I think there's something beyond it just being a smart marketing ploy.
So what are some of everyone's favorite Hallmark titles, and who are some of the actors that you love seeing in these movies? Jennifer, how about you?
I think one of my all-time favorites is one called Cookie Cutter Christmas. It was a film directed by the amazing Canadian director Christy Will-Wolf. I absolutely love her, and if her name is attached to a holiday Hallmark movie, it's going to be a good one. The element in this that was kind of different was that it was a frenemy situation. Two teachers were kind of competing for in a cookie competition, but also for the love interest who was a single dad in town. And it was different. And I've talked to Christy about it actually. And she said, now Hallmark kind of removes a little bit of that edge, that was in some of those earlier movies. So I think that's maybe why I go back to the earlier ones. So Cookie Cutter Christmas, and also similarly, The Snow Bride. It features Katrina Law and Jordan Belfi, and it has Patricia Richardson as the mom in it. And I love that one too, because the heroine is a gossip columnist, and she basically crashes these people's Christmas at their cabin in Big Bear. And the hero is a senator's son, but he's a closet writer. And so I love movies about writers. I love that element. But I like that she isn't so sweet. She's a little bit little bit on the edgier side and not so nice at the beginning of the movie, where, which is rare for a Hallmark movie. Everyone is so sickly sweet all the time. So I think that's why I kind of go back to those earlier movies, because they did have a little bit of an edge to them, and I really enjoyed that. So yeah, so those are my 2 all-time favorites.
Are there other certain actors that you love seeing pop up in these movies?
Well, I mean, Candace is the ultimate. And I grew up watching Full House. I'm almost her age. So, and she never ages. I don't know how she still looks the same.
She looks very good, yeah.
Yeah, my manager's production company filmed a movie called Home Sweet Home, featuring her daughter last year. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, I saw the last name and I made the connection, but I'm like, how on earth does she have a daughter old enough to be the actual, hero in a rom-com? So I love her, obviously. And I love Jonathan Bennett. I love him in the cooking shows too, the baking holiday shows that he hosts. Those are fun. So I can't get enough of him. And Ryan McPartlin, I think he's dreamy. So watch him on my screen any day.
Beth, how about you? What are some of your favorite titles?
This is again a toughie. I mean, I've bought Hallmark Christmas movies on DVD so that I can have them, because I don't have cable. So if I want to watch the Hallmark ones, I have to get it in a physical format. So the one I went with,
borrow it from the library.
Yes, you can borrow it from the library, and I do. But for the ones I really like, I add them.
I just wanted to get that plug in there.
Oh yeah. I have 2 or 3 checked out right now that I am saving for later this week to start.
Once it hits December, right?
Yeah.
Can't before.
Yeah, exactly. But one of my favorites that I pulled out this time is it's A Crown for Christmas, which is one of the many falling in love with a royal at Christmas ones. They're always from weird made up countries that they always look like Switzerland or Austria, but it's got some weird name that they've made up. So it's a Danica McKellar Hallmark, and her romantic lead is Rupert Penry Jones, which I still don't understand how Hallmark got him, because he's kind of a biggish name in British acting. He was in MI5. He was in an adaptation of Jane Austen's Persuasion. He's a bigger name, and I still can't figure out how they got him for Hallmark, but I'm glad they did. And so Danica McKellar plays a woman who goes to a small European country to be a nanny to the king's daughter, and of course ends up falling in love. So yeah, that one's really cute.
Yeah, I've noticed with a lot of them that there is a lot of royalty involved in baking. So yes. Jennifer, I'm not sure if you're looking for any ideas, but maybe there's something where it's a prince he's tired of his duties and he just wants to open up a bakery and then falls in love with his apprentice. I don't know. But
yeah. Yes, the baking ones are definitely a fan favorite for sure.
Royalty I like because it can go in a number of ways, but there are kind of 2 ways that you can play with the idea of royalty, and that's having someone, a commoner for lack of a better word, go to the palace and be in their environment and have to kind of adapt to some of their fanciness and their rules while still imbuing things with that heart and Christmas spirit. Or you can do it the other way around, which is more of the fish out of water, with the royal person pretending that they're normal and all of these comic misunderstandings about things. So there are a number of ways that one can play out.
Caroline, how about you? What are some of your favorite titles?
One of my all-time favorite made-for-TV Christmas movie is not actually Hallmark, but it aired on CBS in 1997, and I think I've talked about it on the podcast before. It's Borrowed Hearts, starring Roma Downey and Eric McCormick. He is a wealthy factory owner who needs to close a business deal. In order to do that, he needs to present himself as a family man. She is a single mother who is just trying to get a down payment for a new house, and she agrees to move in with him temporarily into his mansion and pretend to be his family until the deal closes. And I I just love this movie, and I can't really explain why, other than all the reasons we said before. It has all of these things. There's a character played by Hector Elizondo who may or may not be an angel, and it's just, you're just watching it, and it's just nice. And so I really, really enjoy Borrowed Hearts. I watch it every year.
It's one of my favorites too, Caroline.
Yeah, it's a good one. And then I was looking at some of my other favorite actors. Lacey Chabert is a new favorite for me. She was in The Sweetest Christmas, among many others, and that one stands out for me because
Spoiler alert!
Like we talked about knowing the ending, but I'm going to do a spoiler alert on this one because it ends with her creating this gingerbread carousel that is just like blows the judges' minds and the gingerbread contest. So that one is really a good one on there. So Lacey Chabert is someone. Luke McFarlane is a Canadian actor that I like. I've seen him in a few of the movies, and he kind of has that, long lost ex-boyfriend vibe for the ones where they were just on different paths, but maybe those paths have come back together. So
He had to stay home and look after the farm.
yes.
She moved to the big city.
Yeah. She had an opportunity to become a world-class pianist, and he gave up his cello career to stay closer to home.
Yes.
Yeah. How about you, Bryce? What are some of your favorites?
So some of the ones that actually I don't mind when they come on TV. No big shock
Ringing
here.
Endorsement from Overdue Finds.
Bryce didn't mind. Big sticker.
Yeah. It's just
I hope they use that on a promo on the W Network. That would be incredible.
The sticker that we used for it is just a picture of you, Bryce, shrugging. Like, yeah.
I sat through it. It's pretty good. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No. All good. So the one actually I just watched it. I think it was like last week. It's called. It's the one actually we touched on this one a little bit earlier. Journey Back to Christmas, starring Candace Cameron Bure. It's about a woman from. I think she was like a World War II nurse. The 1940s, and she's transported in the future to the year 2016. It's got Candace Cameron Bure. There's time travel in it. It's got World War II. It kind of checks all the boxes for me when it comes to a holiday movie. So has everyone else seen this one? No,
I haven't seen that one. But I did read the description, and I thought that's a good description. That's a good one there.
I think it's a pretty good one. And another one too, it's interesting, Jennifer, you were talking about kind of the earlier Hallmark movies, how they had a little bit of an edge to them. One, and I think, Beth, we've maybe talked about this one before, maybe in a meeting or something, but The 9 Lives of Christmas, starring Brandon Routh and Kimberly Susted. By the way, I'd like to see Kimberly Susted in more of these movies because I thought she was really good in 9 Lives of Christmas. But this is one where Brandon Routh plays a firefighter, and there's like a cat, and he like adopts it, or the cat adopts him type situation. But he's already engaged, or he has a girlfriend who of course is from this rich family. So she's really mean to Kimberly Susted's character, and of course, spoiler alert, they end up Brandon Routh and Kimberly Susted end up, of course, getting together at the end. But I like this movie. Of course, the ex-girlfriend is pretty mean to the one character, and of course she hates cats, so right away she's the villain in this one. But that to me is actually one of the to me, that's one of the best ones that I've seen anyway.
That is one thing that I do find funny about Hallmark is, as sweet as they are, they kind of, travel this really thin line on the whole, like, cheating, line with, I've seen a lot of movies where, there's already a love interest, there could even be a fiance, and yet that does not stop these people from falling in love with their true love, and I mean, I love that idea, but at the same time, I find it really funny that, there's no spiciness in these movies, there's no language, inappropriate language and stuff, but they don't really mind the whole jumping partner thing very well. They have it done. As long as they can vilify the ex in some way, then it's all good. Yeah. So yeah, I just find that funny.
They're just like, it's Christmas. This was bound to happen with all these amazing decorations and candles lit around us.
Too much mistletoe. I don't know.
There's a title, Too Much Mistletoe.
That's right. And I have to mention, we talked about favorite actors. Cheryl was like, you have to mention this actress because whenever Cheryl sees that she's in a movie, she absolutely has to watch it. And that's Jen Lilly. She says that she kind of compares her to a Disney princess just with how big her eyes are. And most recently, actually, Cheryl was watching it last night called USS Christmas. So that's her latest movie this year. And yeah, I've seen her in a couple of other ones as well, and had to look her up on IMDb, but she was on Days of Our Lives for any of those people who watch soap operas. So yeah, those are some of the ones that really stood out to me.
As a soap opera viewer, there are so many names that I recognize, and sometimes have a hard time maybe putting the face exactly to them. But I know that there are a lot of soap opera alums who make a pretty good living doing some of these movies, and it's great to see them. They're like old friends. We mentioned earlier that it's not just Hallmark that has been coming out with these movies. Netflix has also started to release quite a few of their own holiday movies, such as the Princess Switch films and the Christmas Prince films. Now, these ones aren't ones that you can get from the library because Netflix releases them through their own streaming service. But we did want to touch on these. Do you have any favorites from Netflix, Jennifer?
Yes. Last year, there was a young adult ensemble cast one called Let It Snow. I believe it was based on a book, if someone knows the author. Yeah.
John Green, Lauren Myracle, and is it Maureen Johnson?
Okay. Yes. So that one, I absolutely loved that one last year. I actually just watched it again the other night. I'm not a huge fan of young adult, but for some reason that one was really well done and I really enjoyed it. And I guess maybe having a son who's approaching that kind of preteen years, I'm watching it with, from a mom's perspective and that kind of thing. And then I just finished watching last night, Happiest Season. Yeah, that one is so good. Highly recommend. Kristen Stewart, Mackenzie Davis, so good. Dan Levy is in it as well, and it is just such a fun movie. The writing is super clever. There's fresh characters. Like, it was, as a writer, it was one of those movies where it's like, okay, yeah, that's a good movie. That is written really well. I wish I had been a part of that one. So, yeah. Definitely highly recommend that one.
Yeah, I've seen that one previewed, and yeah, it actually looks pretty good. I'll definitely have to check that one out here. Beth, which ones from Netflix have you been watching?
Last year, one that I really liked was the Holiday Calendar with Kat Graham, who I know from Vampire Diaries. I know she's been in other things, but that's where I know her from. So she inherits an antique advent calendar, which is like one of the old school ones that has like little wooden toys inside of it. And so every day when she opens it, it seems to be predicting her future. So it's really cute. And what's really great about it, most of the cast is people of color. So not the oh so white that Hallmark sometimes falls into. So it's really cute.
What about you, Bryce? What have you been enjoying on Netflix?
I'll be honest, I haven't really watched any of the Netflix ones at all. Cheryl did recommend Holidate, though. starring Emma Roberts. And she mentioned to me that she liked it because it wasn't a typical Christmas movie. It was, she kind of compared it a little bit more to like Bad Santa or Four Christmases, where it's got a little bit of an edge. Well, it does, I guess, have an edge to it, a little bit raunchier, as she said. But she said it was she really enjoyed it anyway.
That's good.
Yeah, I saw that one. It's really good. That was a funny one. Yeah.
Well, Bryce, if you are looking for a recommendation, I recommend checking out A Christmas Prince, numbers 1 and 3, which is Christmas Prince, the Royal Baby. You might need to watch Christmas Prince to the Royal Wedding just for, continuity's sake, but 1 and 3 are where it's at on that one. Yeah, it's got that great mix of royalty, Christmas, winter, sledding, ornaments, all of that great stuff. So yes, but 1 and 3, 2, that's the one you might take a nap during. But 1 and 3.
Before we recorded today, of course, member of the Overdue Finds family, Meg DeForest, she mentioned in a meeting we had, Caroline, about, I think it was the Princess Switch films, how there's like almost this multiverse with them. There's lots of different princesses going around there.
Yeah, and coronations are a really big deal in the Christmas royalty world. And sometimes I think now they have some characters from one fictional kingdom going and visiting and being part of another fictional kingdom. So it's creating this this Netflix Christmas universe that is undoubtedly leading to paradox in some way.
The big Avengers crossover type event is coming one day.
Mm-hmm.
Candace Cameron Bure will pop up in it. So,
Mm-hmm.
so Jennifer, I have to ask, obviously with, we talked about a lot of these Hallmark titles, and not just Hallmark ones, but obviously a lot of other kind of winter romances, I guess. Was it a challenge to write, something like Mistletoe and Molly or some of your other holiday books, knowing that, there's similar plot points to a lot of these titles?
No. I find holiday themed romances probably the easiest ones for me to write. They're the ones that I couldn't get enough of growing up. Honestly, they were the only romance ones I would buy as a teen, were holiday themed ones, and I just read them all year round. So when I started writing, it kind of just made sense for me to start writing the holiday themed ones, since I was such a crazy Christmas fanatic, falling in love at Christmas with that backdrop of all of those visuals and stuff like that just seems to make sense, I guess. So I find them easier than stories set at different times of the year. That's probably why I have so many of them that, that are out. Keeping plot lines fresh is definitely the challenge. Mistletoe and Molly was, I'm not sure what it will be by the time you finally see it. But originally it was more of a war of kindness kind of idea, where the hero and heroine were kind of one-upping each other, messing with each other's lives in a, friendly way. Not so friendly, where she sends him a dog and he gets evicted because his apartment doesn't allow dogs, so that kind of forces him into moving in with her, putting them on the same page together kind of thing. So, but yeah, just different unique ideas that you can kind of make fresh. It is challenging, definitely, to, it's because that's why you see so many of those, big town girl goes back to her small town and falls in love with, former high school sweetheart, just because it is hard to kind of keep things fresh. But I'm currently working on one that I'm hoping to finish early next year. That's an ensemble cast that is a little bit in the gaming world. So the main event, I guess, will be this big epic gaming event that this company is hosting for the holidays. My son is big into Fortnite right now, so maybe that's why this idea came to me, because in the background of my life, I'm hearing Fortnite and my husband and son just constantly playing. So, but maybe that'll be different. I don't know. Haven't seen it yet, so we'll give it a shot.
Yeah, keep us up to date on that one. Somebody who games, I don't think you got too many romance novels set in that world. So a lot of gamers, I think, would really appreciate that.
Okay, cool. Name a character
Yeah.
after you or something.
So we've talked a lot about the TV movies that we love. What are some other holiday movies that you love putting on each year to watch? Beth, we'll start with you.
Because I'm a librarian and an organizational nerd, I make a calendar for December. My husband and I alternate, so he gets his Christmas movies. He likes to watch Star Wars in December, so we'll be watching Star Wars alternating with my Christmas movie picks. So White Christmas, Muppet Christmas Carol, Love Actually are on there every year. But this year I've also got one of the Christmas episodes of Doctor Who, which is a riff on A Christmas Carol. And I'm excited to watch the new Lego Star Wars holiday special on Disney Plus. I'm looking forward to watching that one.
I am curious to see if they do kind of some callbacks to the terrible Star Wars holiday special from the early 80s, late 70s.
I've never seen it, but I've heard it's an experience.
Well, I will say, one year at Christmas, my brother and I are big Star Wars fans, and we're like, hey, let's finally sit and watch this. And we only got about 25, 30 minutes into it before we had to turn it off. So I think we did pretty good there. It's not good, but I would love, hopefully they're kind of do some throwbacks to that one. I think would be kind of fun.
Jennifer, how about you? What are some of your Christmas movies?
My all-time favorite is The Family Stone with Sarah Jessica Parker and Luke Wilson. I absolutely adore that movie. There's just a way that he looks at her when she speaks in that movie that, everyone just needs to find someone who looks at them the way Luke Wilson looks at her when she talks. I just adore that movie. I think it's so great. It's, this kind of crazy dysfunctional family. And I guess I relate to her character a little. My husband's family, they don't like me much. And so I think watching that movie really kind of, I don't know, I relate to her. So that one, and also Just Friends with Ryan Reynolds and Amy Smart. Those are my two that I have to watch every year. I think Ryan Reynolds is just, a national treasure. We just need to, bundle him up and make a million of him. I just love him. So, and Anna Faris in that movie was hilarious. My 10-year-old loves that movie. It's probably not entirely appropriate, but he thinks she's hilarious in that movie. So, yeah. So those are the two that I watch every single year. Yeah, a couple of times.
That's the thing, because I have to confess that over the weekend, I was trying to figure out which Christmas movie I was in the mood for. And I almost did. There were some that I didn't want to watch yet because I'm like, I'm just going to watch this again later on in the month. It's almost like too soon for it. And Family Stone was one of the ones that I considered, but then I thought, no, I'll just watch it again. So I'm excited to still have that coming up for me this year. Bryce?
Yeah, so couple for me that I really love watching. One is, of course, A Christmas Story. It's my all-time favorite Christmas movie. Caroline, when I first started at EPL, we did the interactive Christmas Story movie watch-along event. So that was really fun. And today it's one of my all-time favorite Christmas movies. Love Ralphie just wanting to get his BB gun for Christmas. That was like little Bryce just wanting his Nintendo for Christmas, basically. So another one too that's a huge holiday favorite of mine, not a traditional Christmas movie at all, is Gremlins. So a lot of people really like Die Hard. To me, my kind of unconventional holiday movie is Gremlins. Of course, it's all set at Christmas, and Gizmo to me is like the ultimate, like, hey, if you could have any forbidden gift, it would be a Mogwai. I think I do pretty good with a Mogwai.
We should make a note of that to have as a roundtable question sometime, Bryce. What forbidden gift would you like?
It'd always be a Mogwai. Cheryl did ask me to give a plug to one movie, though, but she recommended, it's a new movie, came out last year, called Last Christmas.
I just watched it this past weekend.
Oh, nice. Did you like it?
I did, although there was way more George Michael than I was expecting.
Yes.
Called Last Christmas. What were you expecting?
Yeah.
More Christmas music than just
Just
Last
George
Christmas?
Michael.
Just George Michael. Always.
But Cheryl says that it'll make you laugh and cry. It's got a great twist. The actors Emilia Clarke and Henry Golding are great in it, and she actually really liked the George Michael music in it. So it was something a little different. We do, I believe, have it on DVD in our collection, so you can borrow it. It's just came out last year. Caroline, how about you?
When did it come out, Bryce? When did it come out?
2019.
Last Christmas.
There you go. I like it.
Yeah. I love Christmas movie. All of the ones you've said, I will add to that. Elf with Will Ferrell. I enjoy that one. Home Alone is one that I watch every single year. And Miracle on 34th Street, both the original from the 40s and the remake from the mid 90s. I just really love Christmas movies, and it's wonderful that there are so many to enjoy. So before we get to our roundtable questions, Bryce, can you share what we will be chatting about on our next episode?
Yeah. So next episode will be our last of 2020. So we thought it'd be perfect time to share our picks for the best titles from this past year. And joining us to share their picks will be podcast family member Meg DeForest, and as tradition here on Overdue Finds, on all of our best of the year episodes, we'll have librarian Nancy Shung joining us again. Caroline, we always kind of joke around with Nancy that pretty much clear your calendar for us at the end of December, because you're coming back on Overdue Finds to share your best of picks.
Yeah, we couldn't do it without her.
No. And also too, for speaking of best of, just make sure everybody watches. It'll be coming out probably a couple of weeks after you hear this episode. We'll be having our annual best of blog, which will be coming out on epl.ca, where I know, Jennifer, you sent me a pick last week, so we'll have a book from you on there, and everybody else on the show.
So our first roundtable question that we have today, you get to cast your own Hallmark Christmas movie. Who are your two leads, Jennifer?
Okay, mine can't be Hallmark because I need this guy shirtless.
Allowed. That's carried as emotion.
But I would want Christopher Russell and Katrina Law.
Beth, how about you?
Sam Heughan from Outlander, and Constance Wu from Crazy Rich Asians.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Bryce?
Yeah, so for me, I'm sticking kind of more the traditional Hallmark route on this one. And I always love seeing kind of the actors that I kind of had a crush on growing up. So your Candace Cameron Berets and of course, Danica McKellar from Wonder Years. So I thought, what could be better than a Wonder Years reunion with Danica McKellar and Fred Savage? I'd watch that. That'd be really good.
That would be really good. I'm half distracted trying to think of a wonder pun for the title. But,
yeah, would have to be.
Maybe it's more of like a review of it that would have it. The title doesn't need it. We can talk offline.
Yes, we'll get this worked out. How about you, Caroline?
Mine, for some reason, I went with Will Ferrell because sometimes he can like throw himself into these things, like with the Eurovision movie on Netflix that he did earlier this year, or the Lifetime movie he did a couple of years ago. So I'd like to see what he could do with a Hallmark movie. And then for his love interest, I was thinking Jennifer Lewis, who's one of my favorite actresses. She was, she played Will Smith's aunt on Fresh Prince. She plays the mother on Blackish right now. She's been in a ton of movies and TV shows, and I would just like to see them on screen together.
That'd be a fun movie.
I think so. And for our last roundtable question, what is your dream Christmas vacation destination, Jennifer?
I'd have to go with a winter lodge in the French Pyrenees Mountains. And if we move to Spain, I think that's probably where we're going to end up next Christmas. I don't think I could do Christmas on a beach. All year round, yes, but I need snow for at least 2 days, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And then I can drive back down to my beach.
That's acceptable. Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Beth?
I went with the Fairmont Lake Louise. which I think would be, I've been up there at winter, but to stay there for Christmas would be gorgeous.
There are a lot of really good lodges in some of these Christmas movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Bryce, how about you?
I did do some Googling here because I've seen photos and stuff on kind of like, all these lists where it's like the best places to spend Christmas. And the one that I thought would be amazing would be in the Swiss Alps and visit some of the Christmas villages there, like in Zermatt. So yeah, if you get a chance, Google that and you'd want to spend Christmas there as well. Caroline, how about you?
I want to stress that this is absolutely not this year, but in general, I would want to go to Disney World. I think that there is something, yes, commercial, but I think the decorations, the experience, the fun, the magic, the fireworks, the treats, the food, I think I would just like to experience it once. I agree that for the majority of my life, I need to have snow at Christmas, but I'd like to see what Disney magic could do in lieu of snow for at least just maybe once. So.
I went to Disney World for my birthday a few years ago, and my birthday is very early in November, and they were just putting up the lights for Christmas because they were getting ready to switch. And there are so much lights on that castle, Caroline, it would blow your mind.
It really would. I would just like stare at it. And then, someone would probably be like, there's a whole rest of the park to explore. And I'm like, no, I just want to look at the lights. But yeah, I think that would be a lot of fun. Well, thank you for joining us today, Beth and Jennifer. Jennifer, you've talked about your projects. What do you have coming out that listeners should watch out for?
Well, actually, 2021 is going to be pretty exciting. I have 6 books releasing, but the one that's coming out next in January, I'm super excited about because I'm actually venturing into indie publishing with this one. It's a women's fiction, which is, again, a new genre for me. I kind of broke out of romance and did thrillers in 2019, and now in 2020, I've written a women's fiction that's kind of a, how do I describe it? A dark comedy with a hint of mystery and a hint of romance, but the focus is on unlikely female friendships. So you were talking about your friendship book earlier. I think, it might be one that you might enjoy because it definitely does kind of dive into what that looks like, in a group of suburban housewife situation where what's on the surface may not be exactly what's happening behind closed doors and that kind of thing. So it was a really fun book to write. I absolutely love it. And I'm super excited. The print version's out already, but the digital is not coming out till January. So so that's the next one I have coming up. And actually it's already in packaging negotiations for a TV series. So I can't talk about it, but Caroline, you said you like daytime soap operas. There is a big soap opera star attached to star in it if it gets made.
Whoa.
So fingers crossed. And I'll keep you posted if anything comes of it. But yeah, right now it's just all super secret negotiation stuff, and it's pretty exciting.
Oh,
so
that's great.
Yeah, so I'd love it if people checked out that. It's called Housewife Chronicles. So
yeah, keep us up to date on that, and I'll have to have you back on the show again. Just chat all about it.
Thank you so much.
So we hope you've enjoyed today's episode. If you haven't subscribed, we encourage you to hit the subscribe button so that you automatically get new episodes. Please also leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And most importantly, tell a friend about the show.
Yeah, and don't forget that we'll have a link to everything that we talked about today in our show notes. Lots of movies for you to check out this holiday season. And of course, we always love to hear from our listeners. You can reach us on Twitter at epl.ca. And don't forget to use the hashtag EPL Overdue Finds. You can also email us any of your episode suggestions or comments about the show to podcast@epl.ca. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.